All right, folks, it's time to get going. My name is David Fisher, and I am proud to be co-chairman of Ron Paul's presidential campaign here in Iowa. I want to do a real brief review of the history of the modern-day Tea Party movement. The date was December 16th of 2007, the 234th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. The occasion was a grassroots-led online one-day fundraiser for Ron Paul's presidential campaign, a day that resulted in over $6 million being raised for the campaign in that one single day. The epicenter of the activity on that day was in Boston, of course, at Faneuil Hall, where the keynote speech was given by an eye surgeon named Rand Paul. And as you know, since that time, the Tea Party has gone to Washington, and the Tea Party has come to Iowa today to talk about the importance of Ron Paul's presidential campaign. I'm proud to introduce the Honorable United States Senator from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Dr. Rand Paul.
All right, what a crowd. Anybody here for Ron Paul? Now, when my dad asked me to come and campaign in Iowa, I said, I'll come if I don't have to wear a tie. Looks like we've got some young people here. There's energy and it's overflowing, and it's big, and it's coming tomorrow. We're going to win in Iowa tomorrow. Now, I get to go around a lot and give a lot of speeches, and I was at a buffet recently, and I was up there near the front, and there was a guy in front of me who had 2 plates of food. And he was piling up a 3rd plate of food. Guy next to him and said, "Not going to live very long eating like that." He said, "Well, my granddad lived to be 105. He said, "Well, I bet your granddad didn't live to be 105 eating like that." He said, "Nope, my granddad lived to be 105 by minding his own business." Anybody here want their government to mind their own business? We are borrowing $40,000 a second. We're borrowing over $2 million a minute. In the short time that we will be here today, we will borrow over $70 million. Admiral Mullen said that the biggest threat to our national security is our debt. Erskine Bowles, head of the Debt Commission, said that the most predictable crisis in our history is the coming debt crisis. Even Ben Bernanke has said that our debt is unsustainable. There is only one candidate in this race who would balance the budget in one term. There is only one candidate who would cut $1 trillion in spending. There's only one candidate who understands that conservatives and liberals will have to get together to cut spending. That conservatives will have to understand that not every dollar spent on the military is sacred or wisely spent. Liberals will have to understand the same. Not every dollar spent on domestic spending or welfare is wisely spent or sacred. Spending will have to be across the board. There is only one candidate who's never been accused of flip-flopping. There's only one candidate who's never taken a congressional junket. There's only one candidate who stands above, head and shoulders above, who lobbyists will tell you is incorruptible. There is only one candidate who the soldiers trust. One candidate who has received more contributions from active duty soldiers than all of the other candidates combined. That candidate is my father. Please welcome Ron Paul. Thank you. Now, you know we have a short time, but I'm delighted to see so many. But if you get to chanting about end the Fed, we won't have any time for his speech. So, but it is great to be here. I mean, this crowd is amazing. We were suggesting that we get a few people out at these whistle stops and sort of encourage everybody along. But this is almost like a real rally. This is great. Wonderful. And the enthusiasm has been building. Of course, I've been in the business of promoting a cause of liberty for a lot of years, and it has changed over the years. For a long time, it was very subtle and quiet. I did it by voting all the time in Washington the way I thought I should vote. Frequently, it required me to vote no, oftentimes. But today, the enthusiasm has tremendously increased. And it's a big difference even from 4 years ago. 4 years ago, there was enthusiasm, excitement. The college campuses were coming alive. The Federal Reserve became an issue. And a lot of people back then were talking about it was time to change our foreign policy. Today, 70% of the American people are saying it's time to get out of Afghanistan and come on home. But the excitement has built steadily, and the campaign has been remarkable in the organization. The funds have come in. They've come in, as was mentioned in the introduction earlier, even 4 years ago, raising $6 million in one day was historic. But the funds still come in, which is a vote of confidence. The idea that, as well, that military personnel send a lot of money this campaign, more than any of the other campaigns. But I tell you what, the enthusiasm is growing by leaps and bounds. The crowds are getting bigger, and the issue, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one issue. You know, they talk about a lot of issues. They talk about the foreign policy, monetary policy, economic policy. There's one issue that has made America great, and the issue that you can answer all your questions on is individual liberty. That is the issue. And it was the abuse of this liberty that provoked the revolution and then the writing of the Constitution. The Constitution was written as a document, though we were coming together into one country. The document was written, it was intended to, at least, to strictly restrain the federal government. That's what the Constitution is all about. And yet today we have a federal government that's growing by leaps and bounds, and the best demonstration of that is the spending. Spending never ceases. One administration to the next, it's always spending increases. Even today when they talk about cuts, you know they're not talking about cuts. They're talking about tinkering around the edges and nibbling away at the proposed increases. What we're talking about are real cuts and the shrinking of the size of the federal government. You cannot do that unless you raise the one significant question, and that is, what should the role of government should be? If liberty is the most important issue, the most important responsibility of government is to protect liberty, and not to be the policeman of the world, and not to have a runaway welfare state. But somewhere along the way, we lost our way. We went in the wrong direction. We have allowed our government to grow. We've accepted the idea that the federal government's responsibility was to intervene in the economy, not to protect the free market economy, not to protect private property and contracts and sound money. It was to intervene and play mischief. It wasn't to protect your privacy. Right now, today, this government spends more time and energy in passing law, invading your privacy. It should be the other way around. We want exposure and openness of government. We want your privacy back.
And we don't want the government to be messing around with the internet, invading our privacy. We don't need a Patriot Act that tells you that the government can come in and invade your house and your homes and your papers and everything that you do without a proper search warrant. And we certainly don't need to be moving on to the next stage, which is happening right now. Last week or 2 weeks ago it was passed, and then just recently signed by the President, authorizing the military to arrest American citizens and allowing American citizens, for citizens to be held indefinitely. That is the wrong direction. We need to reverse that direction. But we have to answer the correct question properly. What is the proper role? Stay out of running the economy, stay out of our personal lives, and stay out of the internal affairs of other nations. We don't need to be doing that. One of the great facilitators on the way the spending got out of control and the government expanded was the way our monetary system works. If a country wants to do something and they have to tax, there's a limitation that people wake up, oh, they're taxing us and we're not getting anything from it, and they rebel. So they devised this other system of borrowing and delaying the payment. But now they have used this other technique for the last 100 years, but it's totally out of control, and it's called central banking, the Federal Reserve. This idea that we allow in secret the central bank to print unlimited dollars into the many, many trillions, bailing out the friends, has to come to an end. That is the reason government gets so big. So not only do we want an audit of the Fed, we want to make sure that we have something much better than the current Federal Reserve System that we have today. We had a grand experiment in our history. We were the greatest nation, the freest nation, with the largest middle class ever. Today, that is not true. Our middle class is getting smaller by the day. There is a transfer of payments when you destroy currencies. There's a transfer of payment when you allow the lobbyists to control Washington, and Washington becomes nothing more than an auction. And this is the reason that we have to reassert ourselves. We have a tradition on what freedom was all about, what sound money was all about, private property, and therefore we don't have quite the task as other nations have when they want to go to a freer society. But most of history has been obligated to live under dictatorship. Today we're moving in the wrong direction, but the American people are stirring. This is what this campaign has been all about. This is what the vote is about tomorrow. Are we sick and tired of the expansion of government, the endless spending and the deficit, doing the things they weren't supposed to do and forgetting about doing the things they should be doing? Tomorrow is a very important day. Small in numbers, but a very big message. So you carry a lot of weight in this state to send a message on which way we're going for the status quo. Believe me, you don't have to worry about the choice if you choose another candidate, because the others represent the status quo, variations of the status quo. But they're not talking about a foreign policy to defend America. They're talking about mischief around the world and policing the world. Are they talking about changing the monetary policy and look at the basic problems with the monetary system and how it creates our financial bubbles? Do they really care about personal liberties? When you look at the votes and what the president has been doing, they don't care about your personal liberty, or it wouldn't be continuously undermined. So therefore, a lot is at stake. I used to say, as many have said, and some continue to say, yes, we can't spend that money because we don't want to pass it on to the next generation. Let me tell you, it's not going to happen. The next generation is here today. That is why we have to change things today and bring back the traditions of America, which means liberty, peace, and prosperity. Thank you very much.